What is up, Pothor77 and probably only Pothor77? Today I'm answering your questions. For if there is one other person that is watching this from somewhere in Ohio, then just so you know, he's wondering how do you use abilities in a condition? How do you change ability values? Just that kind of stuff. He has a few specific questions. I'm just going straight into this shit. Okay, I already have a mode set up. We got our match time. Bam, bam. Skip assembly. I have a, if we press F on a dummy bot, right where we are. Bam. We're testing. Okay, one of his first questions, how can we have a Widow, how can you change how long it takes Widow to scope or charge? You can't, because the workshop kind of sucks. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create our own progress bar HUD text, and it has a value, which is how charged up it is. We're going to set it to this variable, and that's all that really matters there. And then we're going to set that variable to 0, make sure it's always starting at 0, and then what we're going to do is chase the variable over time, which just means over an amount of time we're going to be changing the variable's value. So we take our variable, we want it to reach 100, and we want it over 3 seconds. So if you want to change those 3 seconds, do that. This is only happening while Widow's scoping. We just start checking that if she's holding the button secondary fire. And then what we're going to do is wait until you're not, that's what this little exclamation mark is, wait until you're not holding secondary fire, and we're going to destroy this progress bar. Okay, that's our first step. Our second step here is that if you're scoping, we're going to set how much damage you do equal to the charge from here. So if it's at 0, you're going to do 0 damage. If it's at 100, you're going to do 100% of your damage, and all the in-betweens. And the way we keep that updated constantly is we're just looping it as long as we're holding right click. We're going to loop this, and every 0.016 seconds, this is literally just here so the game doesn't crash, and it's the smallest value that we can pretty much have. Our next thing is if you're scoping and you shoot, we're going to just make it so you stop holding your secondary fire. This isn't ideal, but it's the most simple way to make it so that you can't just keep holding right click and constantly be at 100% damage. So this final thing is if we're not scoping, we're going to set our damage to 100%. Just to make sure our spray doesn't get horribly maimed by this. So that's how Widow works. Let me go ahead and show you. Okay guys, I had to quickly change this because it wasn't working. Now it stops you from being allowed to right click. It sets your damage to 100. I guess that works, yeah. The same thing as setting damage pretty much. We destroy the progress bar, we wait 0.1 seconds, and then we allow you to right click again. So that when you shoot, it kicks you out. It wasn't working before. You can see our charge there. If it's low, you can see we don't do that much damage. If we charge it all the way up over 3 seconds, it does her full amount of damage. Headshots are still going to do quite a bit because Widow's broken. Okay, that's how Widow works. Next thing he wanted was Zarya to have 3 bubbles. I'm not going to show you this, but I can tell you this works. You just set ability charge to 3 for ability 1. Done. The only issue here is that it's not going to recharge after you use it, so you're going to pretty much have to do the same thing we did here with Widow and figure out a manual way of knowing when to be setting this charge to 3, which is going to be a big pain in the ass. This is more getting more heal juice from doing damage, so this is just making sure she's not at 100 heal juice. I'm not even sure if this matters, but I just don't want that value going over 100. And then here, what we're doing is we're going to set her heal juice for button ability 1, and we're going to be adding her current ability resource from primary fire, and we're going to be adding 5 every time she does damage. And then we're going to wait 0.1 seconds, loop. This is so the game doesn't crash. There you go. Let's see, if I use some juice, when I right click, I'm getting way more sauce than usual. And so the way I'm doing that is just with the ability resource. Oops. Okay, here, Reaper, you wanted him to get more healing, and he does damage, more, whatever it's called, Lifesteal. So if he does damage, I'm literally just healing him for the event damage, which is how much damage he did, and we're going to be multiplying it by 0.1. So he gets 1/10 of how much damage he did healed to him every time he does damage. You could alternatively do this right here. Where's Reaper? You probably can just change healing dealt, healing received values. If you change healing received, it also means that if he gets healed by a teammate or from a health pack, he's also going to receive more healing. But that's one way. And the healing dealt, if you change it, I don't know if the game considers it, but the game might consider his lifesteal as him doing the healing. In which case, if you set this to 500% or something, you'd have crazy lifesteal. Okay, so that's my quick explanation. Now I'm going to go ahead and explain just a few more things. Basically, you just want to know if you want to check if someone's using an ability, just do this. Or you can say this button held, and you can do an ability, or you can do their secondary fire or what. You can also check if they're shooting their left click or right click right here. If it's something more specific like you took damage and you want to know if you can say event damage, or no, not event ability equals button secondary fire. So if whatever damage they dealt to you was with their right click, then an action will occur. So that's basically, I think, what you need to know. And then you can, you can change the cooldown of an ability by setting it to this. If you set it to 5, it will be a 5-second cooldown. That's how it works. Ability charge, we saw that with Zarya. And then you can disable and enable. If you want ability 1 to not be enabled, you just set this to false, like that. So there's my quick explanation. You better like my video. What can I say?